The incandescence of the wind, rain wisdom down upon this earth. The double entendre in both incandescence and wind bespeaks a linguistic and rhetorical device approach. In its noun form, incandescent means that which shed light. Used adjectively, it denotes very angry. This is a protest poem against the massacres by military killer squads, rigged elections, coups, displacement, violence and rape, and the incarceration and murder of Ken Saro-Wiwa in post-Biafran Nigeria that robbed the Nigerian people of their nationhood. Wind is, of course, literally, air that moves quickly as a result of natural forces. Wind is also a metaphor, inter alia, for natural cleansing and is used politically, as in the winds of change, to signify an alteration in nation status. The poem captures the prevailing winds that turned a vineyard into a dry riverbed, with its creator as both headwind and tailwind. The subtitle, Rain Wisdom Down Upon This Earth, a plea for enlightenment, encapsulates the poem's trajectory, pointing to the poet's ameliorative guiding wisdom in a 9-stanza poem that climaxes in a characteristic Okrian theme, an imaginative redemption of suffering. The setting of Incandescence, with its tension between biblical and typically African imagery, vineyard and drought-stricken riverbed, is evocative. The landscape that once yielded nature's bounty has become a dry riverbed. It is in this scorched earth space, from this riverbed we call our own, that the persona asks rhetorically, is there a searing clarity about the noises rising daily? The epithet searing denotes intense, burning, shooting, and is normally associated with extreme pain. Linked to clarity, it calls for responsiveness to the iniquities of ongoing internecine strife. The climax in stanzas 6 and 7 are a call to arms, to break the bread of initiation into revolt, in order to spread illumination through this darkening age, as implied in the wonder of incandescence. African philosophical traditions accept that the experience of wonder reflected here is the originating source of philosophy. There are poets, Okri acknowledges, who believe that poetry should not get mixed up with the sordid stuff of politics and society. But poetry is language, and language is part of the fabric of power, of the laws, of the making and unmaking of society. This concern of the poet's responsibility with linguistic exactitude is voiced throughout Okri's multi-generic oeuvre. Heaven knows, he insists, we need poetry now more than ever. We need the awkward truths of poetry. We need its indirect insistence on the magic of listening. As with his short story Laughter Beneath the Bridge, the incandescence of the wind, with its characteristic Okrian theme of an imaginative redemption of suffering, is thus at once protest and promise. Max Esser's justly famous Ant Mobius strip illustrates the Oriental and African belief in the continuous cycle of life, as in the regeneration of chrysalis into butterfly. In conclusion, this fictive liberation is an enactment of the human agency that Okri appeals for in his elegiac protest poem. A coincidental assertion of autonomy and of the self subtly shifts our thoughts and feelings about the world, showing by indirection that the world's visage is not fixed, as he opines in Rise Like Lions. The horror and terror of killing in the elegy also points to the resurgence of transhuman consciousness and the possibility of new life. The deep wisdom of living without anger or resentment, sine ire art studio, is an alchemical guideline which strategically places Okri way ahead of many peer writers. In this poem, as elsewhere, Okri's closing stanza speaks of an unfolding of an supranational soul, identity, and phase of national being.